Welcome to the Mike Litton Experience Podcast. Mike has over 31 years experience in real estate, finance, and investing. He's passionate about being a father, a teacher, a realtor, an investor, and a leader. Everyone has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it. And now, introducing the host of the Mike Litton Experience, Mike Litton.
So what can you expect from the Mike Litton Experience? You can expect stories that will inspire, motivate, advice that will sharpen your focus, and expert information on real estate, finance, and market conditions. Lindsey Chastain, thank you so much for being our guest on the Mike Litton Experience. I'm so excited for our time together. You're so accomplished in what you do, and I'm so honored that you would take time out of your schedule to spend with us. As we talked about before we hit record, everybody has a story, and our passion is to help them tell it, just like yours is with your firm. So with your permission, we're going to start with where you were born, and we're going to go all the way up to today, and then talk about anything that you're working on for today and or tomorrow. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And here's what we know. We know that our listeners are going to connect with you about something having to do with your life story, something having to do with your company, right? Your mission. And it's going to inspire and motivate them to do things that they've been putting off. So where were you born?
I was born in San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, I love San Antonio.
And I lived there for 7 days.
7 days. Wow. So not many memories, right?
Not many memories. No, when I was 5 days old, or no, I guess it was when I was 7 days old. My mother got a call. She was a school teacher at the time, and she got a call that her baby was ready for adoption. And she dropped everything, drove to San Antonio, picked me up, and never went back to school.
Oh my goodness.
So I was adopted when I was 7 days old.
Okay.
And then moved to Dallas.
Oh, I love that.
And I lived there till I was 3. So I don't have very many memories of that either.
Right.
But I think that is, people always talk about pivotal moments in their life. And I think that is really one of those moments that changed the trajectory of where I was headed.
Right.
I have since met my birth father, my birth mother, and I have a brother from those same parents. And I know that my life would have been drastically different, just having been raised in a different environment with different influences. I'm not going to say whether it would have been better or have been worse, because I don't know, but it has definitely, I think that was sort of the initial impetus to get me on the path that I am today.
Right.
I would say the next sort of major milestone along my path was when I was 12 years old. My dad brought home this hunk of a computer. It was an IBM PC Junior.
Yep.
And he plopped it on the kitchen table and he said, "This is the future, learn it."
Right.
And he handed me a couple of books about PCs and learning how to code in BASIC.
Yeah.
Anybody, I'm showing my age now,
Right.
right? Before Nintendo. And so, I learned how to work it. I learned how to program it. And he said, "Great, now we're going to take it apart and put it back together."
Awesome.
So, and he didn't know any of this stuff either.
I love
he's
your dad.
learning it. My dad is awesome. He's really been inspirational in a lot of ways. And some of those ways have very much been blockades.
No, really.
No, you're not going to do this.
Right.
I remember when I was in high school, I really wanted to buy a car. I had a job, and I gave him this whole business presentation as to how I could afford this car. And he said, "You're not buying a car.
Wow.
It's a bad idea." And of course he was right. I didn't need to buy a brand new car. When I was 16, I got one handed down from my grandfather. It worked great. Got me from place A to place B. But he's really been instrumental in teaching me things along the way that really have just sort of sunk in. He's very much a businessman. And, if there's ever anything that we wanted, we needed to have a non-emotional approach. We needed to present the facts. We needed to be very organized about it. And that really has helped me as a business owner.
Oh, sure.
And I don't know whether he did that because that's just his personality, or because he's a man, or because he was, preparing us for the future. But my sister
Probably
was
a combination.
great too. So
Probably a
some
combination.
But yeah, I mean, high school was pretty uneventful. I was in the drama team, I was in the choir, I did all of the things. If you look back at, I have this book, that I managed to somehow fill out every year from kindergarten through 12th grade. It was like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And, all of these sorts of things. And consistently, I wanted to be an artist.
Really?
I have no talent for art. I have zero talent for it. I cannot draw, I cannot paint, I cannot do any of those
Right.
things. But I did discover that I have a talent for words,
Right.
which is an art in and of itself.
It is. It is.
I agree with that. And then it switched over to I wanted to be a veterinarian, which I did not do.
Right.
So, but that will come into play again, sort of later in life.
Wow.
But I went to the University of Oklahoma, and I started off studying management information systems,
Okay.
because Dad said, you're a business person. I know you wanted to major in drama, or, something that really is not going to get you a job, but you really have a good head for business. You need to go into business. I really like computers, so I did MIS.
Okay.
My senior year, first semester, senior year, I'm sitting in the hallway of the business building, and I'm working on my English homework because that was my minor, and getting ready for systems class, which had made me cry more than once.
Wow.
I felt like the dumbest person in class. I felt like I should be able to get this. I should understand it. This is my area of study. And this woman who was a good 20 years older than me, walked up to me and she said, "I'm not trying to disturb you or anything. I just want to make an observation. Take it for what you will or leave it. I don't care. But you look very happy when you're working on your homework from the class before this, and you look really unhappy in class and after.
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say. Just take it for what it is."
Right.
So I called my dad 2 days later, and I was like, "I know it's first semester my senior year, but I'm going to change my major to English."
Right.
So from that point, that was so stressful. I felt like I was disappointing my dad. I felt like I was letting him down, that I couldn't make this work. But the more I thought about what she said, the more I realized that's not what I wanted to do with my life. I did not want to sit behind a computer screen and plan out computer systems. I would be miserable.
So how did that conversation go? Was that rough?
I kind of just said, "I'm doing this." And Dad just kind of went, "Do you have a plan?" And of course, I'd already worked out the plan at that point because I knew that would be the question.
Yeah, you'd better come to that conversation
Yeah,
prepared, right? You've learned that over the years.
I've learned that. So, and at the end of the day, my dad is a big teddy bear. He's a big softie. And so he said, "Okay, if that's what you want, we'll support you. We'll figure it out."
Yeah.
And so
He wants you to be happy.
yeah, at the end of
He
the
doesn't
day,
want you to be
he
miserable.
wants me to be happy,
Yeah.
but he knows my potential.
Yeah.
And so he's always pushed me a little bit more than I was comfortable with. But I think that's what's led to my success.
So did you know that the University of Oklahoma is my favorite place on the planet?
Boomer Sooner.
I'm the biggest Sooner fan you've ever met in your life. When I was this tall, me and my friends all wanted to play for Barry Switzer. I was born in Ponca City, and I grew up in Ponca City. And Barry Switzer was a football god back then in Oklahoma. And I mean, one of the biggest Sooner fans you ever met in your life. So I am so excited to find out that you went to Oklahoma.
I
So
met Barry Switzer.
did you really? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, tell him
Yep.
I said hi, will you? So so let me just ask you a couple of questions if I could.
Okay.
So you lived in Dallas and then you moved.
Yeah,
Where did you move to?
my family moved to Tulsa when I was 3
Okay. So you grew up in
in
Tulsa?
Oklahoma. So I grew up in Tulsa.
What was your favorite thing about growing up in Tulsa?
My friends.
Okay.
I I really met some great people and we did some crazy things. Not crazy in a bad way, but crazy in a we're all creative people trying to find our way in the world
Yeah.
type of way.
That sounds
So
like fun to me.
yeah, and most of those people are still my friends. I'm still connected with them, and in fact, one of the girls who's been my best friend since 6th grade, she works with me today.
Oh, that's
So,
awesome. That's
but
awesome.
yeah, we would do stuff like, go to the park and swing on the swings and sing at the top of our lungs, or we designed a bookstore slash cafe in high school. That was our retirement plan. you know we would we would go skateboarding. We would do these kind of just crazy things where we were exploring our creativity, and we were really trying to, all of us were very creative people,
Yeah.
and we were really kind of trying to figure out where we fit in the grand scheme of a non-neurodivergent world,
Right.
but we
Right.
didn't have those terms, you
Right.
know, in the early 90s.
Right.
Uh,
I'm with you. So let me ask you this. In high school, I think we already know the answer, but in high school, what was your favorite subject?
English,
Yeah.
English.
Drama
Um,
was a big one too, right? It sounded like.
yeah, drama was really big. I took drama a lot. I did debate. I had a heck of a fun time doing debate. In high school, you could generally find me at the drama and debate tournaments,
Yeah.
running the spades table.
Yeah. Yeah. I was the captain of the debate team my junior and senior year in high school out here. So let me ask you this. So growing up, I think I already know the answer, but growing up, who was the most influential person in your life?
It would have to be my parents.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad was very influential when it comes to the business side of things, but my mom was also very influential as well, at a time when people were really having two-parent households that worked. My
Mhm.
mom did her absolute best to stay home with us and raise us, and really, she was very good about letting us explore our creative outlets.
Mhm.
When my sister and I cleaned out our closets to start a book club and dumped everything out, so that we could set up a book club in there. Her response was never, "Oh my gosh, you made a huge mess." It was more like, "Oh, that sounds like fun. What book are
Mhm.
you reading?" She always read to us. She always took us to the library and story times. And, she was really influential, I think, in developing my love of reading. She
Yeah.
came from a long line of teachers. And so, I think that her influence in constantly reading to us, and constantly making sure that we had access to things that expanded our minds, I think was hugely influential as well as far as my creative side. So I think the combination of those two people is kind of what made me this I can walk on the left side and right side of my brains equally type of person.
I love that. So you graduate from the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooner, right?
Yep.
Then what happens?
Then I get a job at a tuxedo place. Um, so
With
so
an English degree.
with an English degree.
Okay.
So I was supposed to be getting a management position anyway, a tuxedo rental place.
Yeah.
And I was very good at it.
Yeah.
Um, but I found out very quickly I did not like it.
Yeah.
And so I literally one day after work drove over to the University of Central Oklahoma
Hmm.
because OU had already finished their application time was already over. So I walked my transcript and portfolio over to the University of Central Oklahoma, made an appointment, waited for the dean of the College of English, and enrolled myself in their master's program.
Wow.
So
That's so awesome.
so I said, if I want to be sort of beyond this, I really need to explore the full capabilities of what I can do with an English degree.
Yeah.
And everybody kept telling me, you can't do a whole lot with it. You can't do a lot with it. And my personality is such as that if you tell me that I can't do something,
I'm doing it.
that's exactly what I'm
Right.
doing.
Watch me run through that wall, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
watch me do it. So
Might be an Oklahoma thing.
yeah, I don't know, a stubbornness thing.
I love it.
So I started at University of Central Oklahoma, majoring in creative writing.
Mhm.
So fun fact, I did continue to work at the tuxedo store for a while I was doing my master's. And then a little bit later, probably my second year, I realized I can't keep working that much.
Mhm.
So I started delivering singing telegrams.
Ooh, I love it.
So I had a
Did you
friend.
dress up in costume at all?
Yes.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. I did one as Cher. Um,
How
I
did
did
you
one.
manage that voice?
I don't know. I have no idea.
You just
Um,
channeled your inner man? And you
yeah.
were, okay,
My
okay.
hair was a lot. I mean, I mostly it was like lip syncing for the
Oh,
Cher
gotcha.
one,
Okay.
but my hair used to be a lot longer and black. And my friend worked for this guy that was a florist, and he said, "Hey, he needs someone to deliver singing telegrams." The first thing that pops into my head is the movie Clue,
Right,
right? And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that sounds safe."
right.
Um, so I walked over there, and that was the first thing he said to me. He said, "I've got a Cher gig, and you're perfect."
Wow.
So that was the first one I did. I did one in a gorilla suit with a tutu, so it was very cabaret. Um, but bringing that whole like theater thing back into play, but
Yeah.
it was great because I could just work a couple of days a week and make what I was making at the tuxedo place, and
Right.
mostly car dealerships and businesses and stuff like that.
That's
So,
wild.
so yeah, that was interesting. But yeah, then I got up to where I was doing my thesis, which was all poetry.
Mhm.
That was my main focus, was poetry. And I was defending my master's thesis, and I had applied to be a TA
Mhm.
at UCO, and I was the youngest by far in the group.
Mhm.
And then there was another person who was the oldest,
Right.
and neither of us got accepted, but everyone else did.
Oh, wow.
So, I had thought, well, maybe I'll teach. And then that made me think, well, maybe I won't if they
Right.
won't accept me to be a TA. So,
Right.
plus the singing telegrams. When I was defending my master's thesis, none of the faculty that was in there was faculty that I had had except for my advisor.
Hmm.
So terribly nerve-wracking. I defended my thesis, they asked me to leave the room, and then they came back out and got me, and the guy who had not accepted me as a TA was on the committee.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so I'm sitting out there just pacing, stressing,
I
right?
would be, yeah.
And he comes back in, he said, "Congratulations, you graduated, you have your master's degree, and I would like to offer you a job. Can you start Monday?"
You're kidding.
No.
You
So
can't make this stuff up, man.
no,
This is
I cannot
cool.
make this stuff up. So I had
So
actually,
was it a job doing something other than singing telegrams?
yes, this
Okay.
was teaching at
I'm just kidding.
UCO.
I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
yeah. So I had actually, with the timing of my degree, since I had started late,
Yeah.
because I had decided late to start my master's, I didn't graduate in May with the rest of that class. I graduated in August.
Right.
So the next semester started 2 weeks after that.
Oh, wow.
And they had an available teaching spot for freshman English. And he
Wow.
was like, here's everything. This was a Friday.
Right.
Here's everything. Your syllabus needs to be turned in on Monday.
Go to work. So you start the coffee pot, right?
Yeah. So
right? And basically don't sleep for 3 days.
Exactly. So I started that semester.
We hope you enjoyed another episode of the Mike Litton Experience. If you did, do us a favor, smash that subscribe button, tell your friends, family, and coworkers about our program, and wherever you get your podcasts, please leave us a rating. It helps us to connect with quality people just like you.
And that's a wrap. Another episode of the Mike Litton Experience in the books. Reach out to Mike on Instagram at Litton Realty. Want to meet with Mike? Check out calendly.com/Rio760.